Today I'm starting a challenge to solve Hypxiel Skyblock. The way I'm gonna do this is to play normally, but whenever I do something, I have to find the most efficient way to do it. From maxing out a skill, to getting money, to gambling. If thing in Skyblock, I solve thing. Starting off with the new profile, the only two things that matter are minions and daily missions. And that's because you need to start them both as soon as possible. Now minions had to wait a bit because I had like 5 slots and no money, but I easily got to the Dwarven Mines for daily commissions and to the Rift to abuse the free entries. This led to the first choice in the challenge. So I got myself to Heart of the Mountain 3, which means now I have an actual choice which I have to make. In this playthrough, I will want to, solve this to find exactly what is better. But here I know that it's the Picabolus and the Efficient Miner. So I'm just gonna do it. Don't worry, I'll make sure Heart of the Mountain will be actually solved. I gotta say that continuing the commissions was boring as usual, but doing the Rift again for like my 6th time was still an absolute treat. I finally got to Heart of the Mountain tier 4. Which raises the question, which type of commissions should I do? I will prove later that the Crystal Hollows commissions are actually better, but for now, to actually do the commissions in the Crystal Hollows, I'll need a Ruby Drill, and I don't have one. And I need the money for both minions and it, and so I decided to find the best early game money making method. And as always, I'm gonna check everything. Well, I just got to the Duet Farm where I can actually make money from the Rift and transfer it to the actual world. But there is one problem. I do need to buy the infusion, which I can do in 2 different ways. You know what that means? I gotta check exactly what is the best method. To find out which option is actually better, I had to first find out how much bits are really worth. Luckily, I already implemented a thing which takes all the data from the auction house. This is like 55,000 lines or something, which means I can take the instant buy price, instant sell, and the buy now price of auction house items. And so what I did is just put the list of all the items and the bits and just calculated by order which one of them is the best. And so for now the best is Hecatomb, apparently, which gets you 350,000 coins for 20 bits. This is way more than 32 Grand XP bottles, which are only like 150k, so this solves the first problem. Now that I was 100% sure that you need to use the Grand bottles, I tested all methods I could do in the Rift. And to make sure I got the absolute best possible results, I tested different routes, ways to farm, and practice to make sure I got it right. Okay, so I tested all the stuff in the Rift for 5 minutes, and this is the results. Now for the Living Metal Hearts, I did the snakes alone because I had no one to help me, and this is practical because if I'll do it, then I'll do it alone. And the Shadow Cruxes are to buy reflection books from the Mirrorverse because I thought to myself, I have 73,000 motes and I don't need 73,000 motes. So if this is the best method for money, I'll probably do it. Now I have to check the methods not in the Rift. While I was testing some money making methods today, my friend asked me that Akimo, the Jerry boxes that I get, should I use them? Should I try to gamble and stuff? Or should I just sell them to the bazaar? And I was like, well, I don't know, but I know what we're gonna do today. And so here are the results. People just love gambling because none of them are profitable. And if you want to make the most amount of XP for the least amount of price, you should pick the rare, which is way better than all of them. The golden is the worst, then purple, then uncommon, and the rare is the best. Soon it was time for the last money making method, and I believe I saved the best for last. I started off by testing the regular arcane, with me placing all the arcanes calling because it actually makes it a lot more profitable. And I actually do die a little, even with the cow hat, which I just discovered. So doing the better arcane will not be possible because I'll probably die a lot more. To be honest, calculating all the methods wasn't that difficult. The way it works is I wrote how much I got in 5 minutes, and if someone else got, let's say, more or less, you can just write it here and then it updates. The only problem I got into is that selling the wilted berberries is best as 8 or a 64 and not just 1, which means I had to find how many items are sold in an auction, which I just didn't do before. But sadly, from where I take the data, it keeps the rarity, the price and the item name, but it doesn't keep the amount. The amount is kept in some bullshit called item bytes, which is just random stuff. And apparently in Google Sheets there is no way to extract the amount out of this. As you see, everything here is just 1. And so I had to settle and just do it for 1. And if I want to actually find out the best, I'll have to look at the auction house myself. But there are some good news. The best method is the living metal hearts and crafting the Polaroid books or whatever, which gives you about 24 million an hour. I said to myself, well, that's a lot of money. And so I decided to get 100 million. The problem is that I hate grinds which you don't improve while doing them. If you just do the same thing and you don't improve, don't change anything, that's gonna be boring as fuck. And 5 hours isn't that much, but still I was gonna hate it. And yes, this is gonna be very problematic as I am playing Hypxiel Skyblock. And immediately after I tested everything and started actually grinding the snakes, the price of the Polaroid books dropped by like 20%, which means the best method now was gonna be farming the Caducus stems, which gives 18 million an hour. But while I was doing it, I discovered that sometimes people actually come here and do it as well, and there aren't enough Caducus stems to mine for 2 people. This is just not the case. And so I get into a war with the other person, trying to find out who will give up first, and I hate those kind of things. But on the upside, from all of the money I got from the Polaroid books, I was able to do a lot of unique minions, getting me to 23 minion slots, which I filled up with clay minions and 1 emerald minion for the collection. There is no way I'm starting to fish before I get to level 19. Not gonna happen. Even with all of that said, switching to the Caducus was actually the best decision I made. Because soon after, the prices spiked up to triple the usual price, which led me to getting an incredible amount of money. One thing I almost forgot from all the switching between the money making methods was the forge, which is very good. And I already maxed it out. So just as I got to about 30 million coins in the bank, I started doing the forge, and right now I have 120 million coins. The question now is what's next? And well, I wanna do the new forging update. Now at the time, I believed that the 100 million I had would be enough to at least start a new update. But for some reason, I thought I needed Crimson Armor. I don't know why. Which you need Combat 22 for, and to get that the most efficient way, you need to go do Bestiary. Luckily, the 100 million was also a big help here, because it enabled me to get a Frozen Scythe, which is one of the best weapons to do Bestiary. Starting off, I maxed the easy things and then just did a bit of everything, which led me to start doing the most efficient method, which was to do dungeons at the same time. I started off with my setup of full Wise Armor and the Frozen Scythe, enough for me with a good team to be able to complete floor 2. Forgot to say that doing the dungeons with a few people was actually good, because it let me kill more mobs in less time. But then came the problem where the server was too laggy for me to use the Frozen Scythe ability. What do you mean the server is too laggy to use this ability? I'm a mage. How can I kill the crypts with no abilities? What should I do? Just stand there and bore them to death? But the court seemed relieved. Rumors were spreading in the kingdom but Hypxiel wasn't enough to stop me. Soon I got to Catacombs level 9, which allowed me to use the Zombie Soldier armor. With Wise, this gives about the same intelligence as my Wise set, but much more defense and health. This allowed me to complete floor 3 and get myself the Shadow Goggles. But the biggest increase in damage was the Glacial Scythe, which I got only after reaching Catacombs level 10. I got both a better weapon and now it's dungeonized, meaning this does much more damage. Using that, I was able to get from dungeons so much bestiary. A total, I think I got like a third of all my bestiary levels from dungeons, so this was very good. So I got enough combat XP and bestiary for combat 22. Combat 22. Very nice. And so to be able to use the Crimson Armor, I only had to kill Kudra. Which luckily, as I asked my friend for help on what is the fastest way to do that, because you know, it's still a challenge, he told me that you absolutely do not need the Crimson Armor for the new update. Meaning I'll see you in the next video, where I solve the new forging update.